All right. Welcome, everyone. I see we have quite a lot of people. For those who don't know me, my name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO of Maru. We are all-in-one payment platform tailored to the wedding and events industry. With Maru, you can accept and make payments with zero processing fees. In the past 2 years, we onboarded almost 10,000 businesses on the platform for whom we already saved almost 3.5 million on processing fees. And the growth that Maru experienced during that period was partially attributed to social media and our presence and the content that we were posting. And today I'm very glad to welcome my friend and our partner, Persephone Maglaya from the media Socialites, who help us a ton, to drive this channel of growth. And, I welcome you, Persephone. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here and love obviously working together on Maru and really excited to just kind of get into the meat and potatoes of some of these questions and lingering issues that people have with social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we all gathered here to learn from your experience around social media, but I really love to take usually, our speakers, take a step back and start from your early days. Can you tell us where you grew up, something interesting about your childhood and how it helped you to become the person who you are today?
Oh my gosh, very much so. It's funny. I was telling you when we were on the phone a few weeks ago, I rarely tell my journey of entrepreneurship up until this point, which is kind of bizarre. But I grew up, I started in Boston and grew up largely in DC, raised by my dad, who was a immigrant to this country and a CEO, and really learned kind of the ways from him specifically. Now, actually, we work together. He's my CFO, which is kind of cool. But my career started at Wedding Wire and The Knot. I was one of their first employees, one of their little baby employees. I think I was like employee 17 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I was an intern and started while I was in college there and was there for 11 years working on business development and launched bridal fashion and registry and retail. And no one stays at a job for that long unless you really love it. But I loved it, but I found myself just lacking a little bit of a challenge. And I was advising a lot of our clients. We were working with big brands, Kleinfeld, Target, Crate and Barrel, in the really budding existence of the social media world. And I just felt like I could help them on such a deeper level if I was able to have more practical application of information and execution and how that impacted numbers, right? So
Yeah.
how did the visuals impact the performance? How was it converting? And conversions at that time, were low, right? We didn't really know the scope of it. But all of that to say, TMS, the Media Socialites, started as a side hustle. I had Bridal Vogue. I had created a page called Bridal Vogue, and that was kind of the facade of TMS for a little while, and kind of balanced all of these things. I was trying to grow the brand, keep my full-time job, and I have twins. And then now, a couple years, fast forward almost 5 years later, since I've been full-time, we work with about 140 or 150 partners globally within the wedding and event space. And we have about 65 full-time employees and lots of contractors around the globe, and really focusing on being a 360 digital marketing to this incredible industry.
This is awesome. This is super cool. And speaking
Yeah.
of your team, what's the most rewarding part of leading such a diverse team in what I perceive like it's ever evolving world of social
Yes.
media. Every day something changes, something pops up.
Oh my gosh, what's the most rewarding part? I mean, my team is composed of really young, strong, sharp women predominantly. I would say 98% of our team is just women. And so I think really shaping them into being leaders and shaping them into using their voices and their talents and not being afraid to pushing their thoughts or pushing their concepts on big energies in the room, because a lot of our clients are big personalities, and empowering them with that ability as they're largely a lot of them have come out of college, and they've been shaped over the past few years, or a lot of them, this is like their second full-time position, or corporate position. But that's really hard to form when you're working remotely, and my entire team is remote. So creating that community and that growth has been probably my favorite thing, to be honest. Oh, I love our clients, of course.
Yeah.
Love our clients. Yeah.
And I can really, resonate with that, because our team is also 100% remote. So
Right.
it creates some benefits, and it creates some complexities. So it's quite
Oh my
interesting.
gosh, it's hard. It's hard to keep everyone connected. And, we have people, like I said, we have an office actually in Europe, and we're really building out that office. But how do you make sure that they feel connected on a deep level to the people who are in Nashville, or, who are in South Carolina? It's definitely got its challenges, but
Scotland or England.
Exactly. Correct. We have a couple people in the UK too. So yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. And Persephone, you mentioned that you started with first, with Wedding Wire, then you started your own brands on social media. How do you balance your work being a CEO with your creative, work on platforms like, Instagram or TikTok, where all of us can see you?
Oh my goodness, that is such a great question. So I had to succumb to my own proposition, meaning that I am our best client avatar of who we service, because I'm too busy to do it myself. So my team has fully taken over the management of every single page, the Media Socialites branded page, my personal pages, Bridal Vogue, which we recently rebranded to be Je La Vu. Like, I have a lot of creative control, but I'm not doing the original thought. I'm not executing on anything except for stories at Persephone Says on a personal level. Everything else, it just is too much. And I think that's a realistic issue that we all have. We don't have enough time in the day. It doesn't require just posting to post. Like, this is a full marketing machine when it comes to social media, as we all know, the reason why we're all here. And so that's a problem. It's a limitation. It's being really thoughtful and methodical, but not having enough time. And so I think a lot of people come to us just honestly for like, I just don't have the time to think about it, but I know that this is so important, right? Yep, exactly.
Me included.
Help me. Help me. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Awesome.
Sure.
And kind of speaking of the main topic of of today, I'm going to ask you a very rookie question.
Please.
So how does the choice of social media platform vary across different industries? And what factors should wedding and events businesses consider when selecting which platform they go with?
That's not a rookie question at all. I think it's one that it's hard to decide, right? Because you're like, okay, but I just don't understand this TikTok thing. That's often like something that's said to me, right? Or I don't know the value. Am I going to get immediate ROI? The reality is, and that kind of leads in as I'm answering this question, I'm also going to pull up my slides as well.
Yep.
It kind of leads in beautifully to what we're going to be talking about today, right? Which is, you can't be in one place. It's really important to diversify where you are, because people are looking in multiple places at any given time. And, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, as my Canva is going crazy in the background.
Yeah, we can see it.
To answer your question, good. To answer your question succinctly, it really, I would say picking two at least. And I'll talk specific to some of those channels. Just having its own mind of its own, rather, I think is really, really key.
Okay. Yeah. And so, if we kind of jump into the slide that you wanted to share.
Yeah, so I just wanted to have this kind of as a good framework, right? So today we'll speak more deeply on the 5 fatal flaws, if you will, that I'm continuously seeing. And I also kind of want to pose questions to everybody here to kind of engage as well. One of the first kind of starts from the top. So I'm glad that you asked something earlier about just which platforms, because before we even talk platforms, we have to define who the hell we're talking to, because we're
Yep.
not talking to everybody. And whether we're talking to just wedding professionals, whether you're a B2B or B2C company, that's not enough actually of benchmarks or a path to understand like specifically. So for us, we always try to define a client avatar. Like, who are they? And it can be a couple different versions of the same person. But for example, largely the Media Socialites client avatar is in the luxury, ultra luxury market. They are like at that point where they just can't handle things on their own. They understand the importance. They're trying to level up their business. They're trying to take it just to a different dimension. They don't have the time. That's like a good enough client avatar. But then there's the other client avatars that we often see, right? Which is within photographers, for example. So they're speaking to couples and they're speaking to planners, but that too isn't enough. We have to like really be narrowing down the focus. And I wanted to ask, like, for you, can you speak to some of the client avatars that Maru is also communicating to as well?
Yeah. Well, we have, I think the main avatar for us, or the key person of interest, is the planner, the event planner, for multiple reasons. Is because this is a very interesting role from my perspective, where the person or the event planner, they both kind of sit on the side of the service provider for the couple, and at the same time they're acting on behalf of the couple. So by focusing on the needs of event planners, I feel we as a platform, as Maru, we can find the needs of both sides of the process, and hopefully build the solutions that will work for both sides.
Exactly.
That's number one. And the second one are, I think, photographers, just simply because it's a pretty big group of people, and they are all, I might be wrong, but it feels like it's one of the first top three that couples look out for or book.
Yeah.
And I feel it also helps us kind of to start communication interaction with couples, and in the beginning of their journey. So those will be, like, I think, two main avatars. It doesn't mean that Maru, like, we're kind of deprioritizing everyone else. Of course not. It's just we feel that by focusing on those two categories, we help everyone else kind of who follows the booking process to support their needs as well.
Totally agree with that. And that's exactly what we had also outlined. That was a loaded question, because it's exactly what we outlined for Maru. And I would love for, if the chat isn't working, for everyone who's watching to at least submit Q&As on, like, do you know exactly who your client avatars are? And can you outline them? And sometimes that's even defining, like, do you know where they travel to? Do you know where they obviously live? What kind of podcasts are they listening to? Where would they dine? Like, we really try to think about it like that, because then your audience becomes crystal clear, and reminding yourself that, okay, there are 9 quality touch points in order to make someone actually take action and make a decision. Are you actually speaking to that person, or are you speaking to too many people? And I think we often get trapped in that. And again, the fatal flaw, right? Because you shouldn't be for everybody. You should really be for a specific group of people, where you'll be able to help solve a problem for them, or in some capacity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It just also helps, for us at least, we're a pretty small team. It helps a lot to prioritize, because to your point, it's just so hard to be good, like good or high quality for everyone. And it doesn't mean we devalue the needs and the feature requests from our clients in other categories of the businesses. Absolutely not. It's just we have to prioritize, because there's like X number of engineers on the team. And
exactly. Really? So many hours. Yeah.
And I can totally see the fact that if you're running your own business solo, like from what we're seeing on with us, with our clients, it's just like maybe 1 or 2 people, right? And then there's a few contractors as well.
Right. No, it's so incredibly true. So yeah, I would say that's the first piece. And the other piece, which kind of coincides with a lot of this, is like, okay, do you even have a plan of attack? Because this year is a strange year, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few moments as well. But making sure that, okay, step one is defining the audience so that the tone can be appropriate, so that we can really only be showing, and that's also largely, it's the tone and also what you are showing, and what you are not showing is going to really be defined by that client avatar.
Yeah.
But then the other issues that we end up seeing, if my Canva wants to cooperate with me,
Yeah.
is this obsession with focusing so much time on Instagram. And like they think, a lot of people, hopefully not all of these people on here, but Instagram has become such the focal point where we're forgetting the other social channels, and that it's not in your best interest to keep it to one place, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always looked at social channels like money, quite frankly, is how are you going to diversify your funds, your social funds? And how can we make sure that we're meeting people where they are, or reinforcing that decision to submit a lead to you because they're seeing Maru on Instagram, on TikTok, through like these things matter. And so if you're only putting all eggs in this one place, which by the way, we don't own Instagram, then what happens when the algorithm changes and it could rupture your lead magnets and your lead cycles? It's just kind of like toxic, quite frankly. Are you seeing that as well for some of the people that you're following out there as well?
You mean like if it's a question to me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't obviously assess the impact, but on other businesses just with us directly, if it's like when the certain changes took place, and again, I'm not well versed in this specific field, but
Mhm.
I was told that like there were some changes that were implemented in algorithm, the way how our posts are coming up to people.
Yep.
Like we immediately saw the drop. So
Yep.
staying on top of like knowledge how this works,
Mhm.
that's super important. And actually, it will be really good like to hear also your thoughts, like how businesses can really adapt and stay on top of those changes simply by
Mhm.
from tracking them, but it's
Mhm.
also like how to adjust their business when this happens. And if you have maybe example of some recent changes, that will be great.
I have so many examples. I would say one of the most important impacts that we've experienced is from a true social channel. Instagram definitely changed their algorithm about a year and a half ago, where it was prioritizing reels, and now we're back to carousels, and now it's trying to like reconfigure how it's measuring success and who it's going to showcase more of. And I would say the same holds true for TikTok. They actually jumped on that, showing carousels before Instagram returned to its previous structure. And
Yeah.
now it's prioritizing carousels there too. And so I think that is one of the biggest areas of change. And also, I would argue to say that TikTok is one of the most important platforms to pay attention to, period, hard stop, just because um, this generation spends so much time on it. I wrote here 100 minutes a day versus the 30 minutes a day on Instagram. And a lot of Gen Z don't even have an Instagram. They're on Snapchat instead. So if all you can do is like spend some more time nurturing TikTok, it's going to pay off dividends in a very large way. It's that repetition of continuously showing up. But it's also aligned with Google, which was the second big channel algorithm shift, because Google shifted and had some massive changes, I think in July or August of last year. And like, if
Yeah.
you did not fix that, you are seeing a humongous dip in your leads and in your traffic. And I do look at Google as one of the big channels. It's not one that people think about for whatever reason very much here, but it's something that we think about constantly because that's how people are validating you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Persephone, I know, I believe recently there was a really cool article about
Mhm.
the role of wedding industry influencers.
Talk
What
about
role, like
it.
based on your experience, what role does the, influencer marketing play in today's, social media landscape, and how, wedding and events businesses can leverage it effectively?
So, this is a bit of a controversial topic, but I love this question so much because I think the word influencer has such a twisted connotation. And to me, a true influencer is a thought leader. And to me, all of the people sitting in this room are thought leaders because we are attracting couples. We are attracting planners. We are attracting other people in the industry who are looking to us to connect with and to help make decisions. And so I find that the world of what an influencer has meant to what it means for this specific space is shifting, and it needs to be paid attention to. But I will also say that the role of a content creator is something, again, people don't want to hear it, but if you're not paying attention, like you're gonna miss the whole opportunity. And the opportunity is we need organic content in order to tell stories about our brands across all of these social channels. So let your couples bring a wedding content creator who is knowledgeable and experienced. That's like a big caveat. And allow them to document this process so that you can use that content on TikTok because you
Yeah,
might not have it, so that you can use it across Instagram and maybe create some really cool reels that you can share on Pinterest as well. So to me, the world of influencer is so important in this space. I just think that it's not in the traditional like fashion influencer sense. It means a couple of other things here.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that question. I love that.
And being a relatively small business ourselves as
Yeah.
well, like with limited resources,
Mhm.
what advice would you give for folks, to make a significant impact through their, platforms, specifically Instagram? Like
Mhm.
if I'm just imagining myself, as a business owner, again, I have like maybe one, two people on my team, few contractors. So, I plan every, cent of the cash flow for the next, I don't know, like a year.
Yep.
How can I make sure that's, or what do I need? What's the framework I need to have in mind when I'm thinking about maximizing the return on investment into the social media?
I think that it needs to be thought about in sorry, maybe three main ways. The
Okay.
first is that all social channels are awareness generators. And so they're very top of funnel and they're reactive. If you think about it, you're hoping that your strategy, you're hoping that your hashtag strategy is going to be seen by the appropriate audience, but it's still a reactive, like it's a more passive, if you will.
Yeah,
So it's awareness generating. I'd say the second piece, so that is important to be consistent on that. And consistency does not look like every day anymore. A couple years ago, it was like every day, 5 to 7 days a week, you had to show up. I think curation is key here. The second piece, which we haven't really talked too much about in this industry for whatever reason, is more of a lead generation like engine.
yeah,
And I know this is something we do together, but I think traditionally speaking, the industry, we've taken this approach of like, they'll find us, no problem. No, that's not like, that is not how any other industry works. And I think we have to get out of that framework. So I would say putting resources towards some level of social, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and being consistent, and then having some paid social, specifically paid media in order to drive qualified leads is so incredibly imperative, because we can't expect for them to stumble upon it. The world doesn't work like that, and lead times are getting shorter, like significantly shorter. So
definitely.
that would be my buckets, if you will.
And just, speaking on like this paid ads, what will be your, I know your thoughts on like this, finding this balance between the
Mhm.
paid advertising, organic
Mhm.
growth, and social media through just the content people generate themselves? is there some sort of like 80-20 or 70-20-10 type of mix, or some general recommendation?
I don't have a percentage breakdown. I genuinely don't. But I will say that if you don't have a piece of your overall contributed to paid media, and that can look like Google Ads, that can look like even investing in your SEO, something that's more proactive, you're going to feel the decline this year, which kind of
Yes.
leads me to some of the next couple of things. I'm going to jump ahead because this specifically is what I want to hit on that I'm seeing constantly. And I would love to see in the chat or in the Q&A as well, if people are feeling that hit from leads, or is it starting to normalize? What's going on in this industry? And a lot of people will hypothesize about, engagements had been down because of COVID. Like, rather than hypothesizing, let's just figure out a plan of action. And I think that they need to validate themselves on why things are down versus like, okay, they're down. Now we have to shift. This is the year of the pivot.
Yeah.
And this is the year of proactivity. And that's really how we are positioning almost every single client that we're taking on at this point, because it's not enough. What we're seeing is that the lead time is being cut down significantly. So we're seeing that the leads are starting to come in, but the wedding might be in 3 months, or the wedding might be in 6 months. Whereas prior to COVID, it was, the 12 to 18 month draw. Now that has changed. So if they are seeing you and happen to be stumbling upon you and happen to be following you, that's great. But they're making decisions so much faster, which is why you have to have these multiple touch points. And paid ads in particular, you can target them so specifically based on their behavior. So it's not appearing for your competitor, it's not appearing for all of these different things. There's just been this reluctance, and I find it so interesting because if you're even looking at like the Super Bowl, the way the Super Bowl did all of the ads, why the hell is Dunkin' Donuts running ads when so many people go to Dunkin' Donuts? It's relevancy. It's like that continuous touch point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're also seeing that as well, or seeing the resurgence of and hearing it among your customer base too, of leads having this like hiccup this year. So I'd be so curious.
I think in our previous webinar, David mentioned that as well. So the timeline really kind of shrinked between the moment when you're being approached to the moment when the event takes place. And
Right?
we were specifically chatting about this in the context of being flexible and agile enough in order
Yep.
to resize and reshape your team and kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
redistribute the resources. Um,
Mhm.
so it looks like that's clearly like a theme, not, across the industry. Um,
Right.
yeah, and Persephone, Ricky was asking if you can go back
Oh,
one page back
yeah.
for page 3. Um,
Yes, of course. I wasn't going to skip over. Don't worry.
okay, cool.
Yes. Don't worry. I was just wanting to get
Hmm.
to this very relevant point about the leads being down, because I think it's so important. But of course, I'm happy to talk about this. I do think I get this question a lot. Can I just use the same content from Instagram and repurpose it for TikTok? And the answer is it's really no. We need to be shaping. Sorry. We need to be shaping and adjusting. Um, we need to be maximizing our time, but we really need to be shaping and adjusting based on that platform. And I think if you were to think about then how am I using TikTok versus how am I using Instagram? I will say Instagram is going to be your perfect portfolio of work. This is how people judge one another, for better, for worse. But TikTok, you can show more of your personality, a look behind the curtain, a little bit less polished, like that organic feel that I was talking about that wedding content creators can capture, or that BTS content. This is the place to put it and to have a little bit more fun. I'll caveat with this one specific thing, which is it's still important for it to be on brand. So like there's a line there because I think that when again we're validating brands or who we submit leads to, or the time frame is so much shorter, making sure that thread of consistency is important when a potential client is coming to your Instagram, your TikTok, Pinterest, your website, it needs to have this thread line. And so make sure that it's still you, but still has a professional like layer to it. So yeah, just making sure that we adapt accordingly. I will say, for Pinterest, because Pinterest is one of my favorites. Pinterest is a great place to maximize resources. So anything that you've created on Instagram, anything you've created on TikTok, and I know some of you have heard me speak on other things, because I'm recognizing some of these names, but this is the place to maximize your efficiencies and circulate it so that the traffic's going back to you. It's probably, but you still can't like just pin something and think that you're done. It still requires a hashtag strategy. It still requires strategy. And I know it's a lot of work, and that's why my team is very busy. So it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. And Persephone, you mentioned that, there are some themes that are emerging, specifically lead time and things like that. But what are the just trends in the social media that, businesses should be aware of heading into 2024, 2025? Because, hey, like, I know we're still in February, but at least on Maru, we're seeing bookings that all the way already, like sometimes 2026. So people are already there in their thoughts.
100%. I'm also already there. I think I'm always already there. I think there's a couple of specific things on Instagram and TikTok that I'll talk about, and then just kind of even outside of those channels. I think the types of content that's working really, really well on both right now is just a very like simple video with copy on top of it, where it's just one frame, it's one video, and then you're sharing some information and you leave it up, or you're pointing like for the people to read more in the copy of your post. So it's like giving you some hook and then some connection to read. And that is actually doing really well and causing people to stop and take a few extra seconds, maybe save it, maybe share it. But that type of content is like an absolute home run. What is completely out, please stop pointing, and none of this anymore. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar, but in 2020, like myself included, shamefully, dancing and pointing and all of that, like you don't need to do that anymore. You can be showing you doing your thing and writing a little bit more, or directing people to the writing a bit more, and that is really meaningful. I also think a big shift is that we have to be thinking about TikTok in particular. Its roots in its algorithm is based on SEO. Like at the end of the day, same with Pinterest, and very largely same with Instagram. And that means that there is repetition of copy, context, and content that has to be replicated. You need to be mentioning specific keywords. And that is, I don't foresee that going anywhere, because that's, I mean, search engine optimization and SEO is like the underbelly of everyone's websites, right? So
Yeah.
I think this is just us getting smarter and sharper, and the algorithms fine tuning. I do see in the next couple of years a huge opportunity within YouTube, and YouTube Shorts. YouTube is Google. Yeah, it's owned by Google, and Gen Z uses TikTok and they use YouTube as a source of education, and like that is their version of Google. So how can we lean in? And I'm always a huge fan. Yes, Tori. I'm always a big fan of where's their white space, and where can we capitalize off of that white space? Because in a few years, it'll all start to catch up. So if you do a search on YouTube for your category, so if you're a wedding planner in Washington, D.C., you'd be very surprised as to how many planners, if any, come up. So to me, I'm like, wait, why are we moving on this sooner rather than later? Because that helps, again, strengthen your SEO. So those are kind of some of the like very high level things I'm seeing in shifts.
Super interesting.
Yeah. It's a long tail approach.
Yeah. And it's always, cool to to see those trends emerging now, but you kind of already see like where it's heading based on your expertise, which I think is kind of the best thing, or the most valuable insights.
Of
And Persephone,
course.
we were covering quite a lot of topics, and at the same time, our webinar is called Five Fatal Mistakes. Let's chat
Yes.
about this. Like, what are those
Yes.
mistakes? Like, what is
So we've
something people
been
need to be aware of?
totally. So we've been going through a bunch of them, but I want to close the last couple of them. So we talked about not knowing where your leads are going and not doing what you need to do for it. But I would say this is the most important. This is the most important issue that I'm seeing, especially if you are a referral-based company, which everyone is a referral-based company at this point. I mean, we all are, right? I don't think anyone can say like, no, I don't get any referrals from anybody. It's all word of mouth. We hear these things. All of my business comes from word of mouth. That is true up until a specific point, but we need to have validation. So I'm getting ahead of myself. I think the biggest issue I'm seeing is that we aren't actually looking at the data to understand where people are finding you. So we talked at the very top of this conversation as to people not understanding the tone or who they're speaking to at all across social. So that's a huge problem. But even going one step behind that, where are people even finding you? Like, what's working? If you are saying like, oh, no one's finding me on Pinterest, and then you look at your Google Analytics and Pinterest is actually one of the driving forces, you better not stop pushing content out on Pinterest. It's incredibly shocking how many people come to us that aren't looking at this, because this is your roadmap. You don't need to like have questions as to whether something is or isn't working, because it's right here. And I would love to hear, I think our chat's working now. I would love to hear and see how many of you are actually using Google Analytics as a roadmap. Like, are you assessing it? Do you have Google Search Console set up? I would love to see in the chat if that's even a thing, because yay, good. I'm so glad, Tiffany. It's really, really important. It makes a difference. And I think especially when we're like, okay, we have limited time and resources, what do I focus on? You'll see organic social, you'll see Instagram, you'll see TikTok. Like, here's your roadmap, people. It's right here. Again, going back to the what I was saying about referral businesses is, we're all referral businesses, but we're validating these referrals in some way. So this too is important for you to see where people are validating you. It will become crystal clear. Is it Google? Is it search on Google? Is it, YouTube? You'll see it. So that's how we need to be looking and then pivoting our entire strategy accordingly.
And Persephone, I see, so people mentioned that someone using it, someone not.
Yep.
Ricky mentioned that his web person is using it. That kind of made me interested.
Yeah.
How do you see the role of this like partner around Google Analytics who support business owners, like how to find the partner who will give you those insights, who will focus your attention on the right type of insights. And also Sarah mentioned that she wasn't sure how to use it. Like, can you maybe suggest some resources? Because I know, for example, we are using your services around Google Analytics, which is tremendous.
Yes.
So that'll be great to hear as well.
That's such a great question. And unfortunately, a layered answer. There's a lot of people who are Google experts, and they might be, but are they experts in what you do, or do they have a good understanding as far as like who you're speaking to? Because what we're often seeing, even from an SEO perspective, is that you're ranking for things that don't actually align with your true business goals. And so your content is being served up to all the wrong places, or you have, I think someone said they have their web person handling it, but is it being communicated to you in a way that you understand? Okay, so Instagram looks like I need to be investing there because it's very clear for me to understand what's happening. Obviously we do that. So we're always happy to be a resource. And it's something that we have an offer for you at the end of this. But it's really important to make sure that that person has a great handle on your business and your business goals so that they can validate if everything is aligned. And it's something that is also ever changing. So they need to be assessing in the here and now, but also constantly the maintenance of what's happening, and where the traffic is coming from and how it's converting.
Yeah,
Very
I
long.
think it's insanely important to understand where traffic is coming. Like in our case, I think last year we did this analysis, and we
Mhm.
understood that 70% of our traffic was coming organic. And
Mhm.
I worked with my colleague from previous job,
Mhm.
so she pointed my attention that on the one side that it's actually pretty cool that have a lot of organic traffic, but at the
Mhm.
same time it's also can indicate that you have a lack of tracking, so you actually don't understand where people are coming
Yes.
from, which led us to invest in like tracking links, making
Yep.
sure that if we have any online presence anywhere, like referral, or if there are any referrals from other websites, like I started paying very close attention, like what type of links we give to people, like having a internal library to track this, like where, people are coming from, because otherwise you kind of lose the visibility.
100%. And it's not enough. And I know it's a lot. Like, again, we're all business owners and we all have limited amount of time. But of all the things, you have to pay attention to this, or you're literally spending money and it's like spaghetti on the wall, because it's constantly changing, and you can find where your strengths are and your weaknesses are so that they're less weak and stronger at that point.
Yeah.
And so to me, this is like step one, that is being massively under indexed and massively underutilized, because there are some people who are making it too complex to understand when it really isn't. Like, you just need to see the referral, like the references. Where
Yeah.
are the referrals coming from? And then you'll feel confident in where you're spending money and allocating time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And
I
Persephone,
did.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, please. Go ahead, go ahead.
I don't want to. I hope it's not going to like switch us too far. But one thing
No.
I'm also noticing, because I'm part of some Facebook groups or industry communities. Um, businesses are very concerned, or sometimes they just don't know what to do when their
Mm.
clients leave a negative review. So on social or publicly, because you don't want to get into this whole mess of, back and forth like communication. But I was just curious, what's the best approach for this crisis management on social media when basically your brand, which you spend a lot of time building up, faces negative, reviews, publicity, or some backlash?
I mean, I think that that's such a great question, and we often have to help a lot of our clients combat that. I really firmly believe that that's where you have to be your own advocate and use your past clients as brand ambassadors, and use them, the positive experiences that they have. How can you integrate that into, um, your stories? How can you use their voice over a piece of content that really waxes poetic about the experience as a whole? How can you use anything that's written, even if it's text messages, to create like a really cool back and forth, even if it's a carousel, to show like, what they said to you and then the outcome. We all deal with this. Let's be honest. People are really unhinged right now. They are operating at a 10 at all times, and they're pissed about you not responding to an email fast enough, and they will go without any issue and destroy or attempt to destroy. And so it's really important for you to be advocating for yourself and using the people who are on your side, um, to maximize and kind of combat that. There's no easy answer,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but I do hesitate when people start going back and forth, and like, I actually think that that's not a good look at all. So to me, it looks almost, when you see that one or two crazy people who have like spun off for whatever reason, I don't like to I don't like to give any life or energy to those people, because I don't think that it's helpful.
Yeah, totally. And again, I totally understand this is like not the most favorite question for people, but
No,
I just
it's
think like when this
important.
happens, I saw so many times folks just really at loss, like, what should I do? And they just go on those forums and,
Yeah.
ask those questions.
Yeah, no, I
Cool.
think it's a really good point. I came with one extra, hack, if you will, that I
Yeah.
really want us to be focusing on debunking. And this is as follows. I, we constantly hear like, I want more followers. I want to go viral. I want all of these things. I'm just going to post just a post. I really want us to be reframing our thoughts because the purpose of social media is to really be speaking again to that specific client who's actually going to convert. The followers only matter if they are potential buyers or a great connection. And building community and talking to the perfect audience is the only goal of social media. It is, I know we all have egos, myself included. Numbers matter, but most importantly, what you need to be assessing from all of your social channels is the traffic, the website traffic that's coming back to your website, period, hard stop. Because say you post something, and transparently, there's content on Maru that converts really well, but it might not have gotten a lot of likes. I care about the conversions that are happening on Maru's website more than I care about the fact that someone didn't hit it with a like, but they saved it instead and they decided to register. That's the way we need to be thinking.
Yeah.
And same for the wedding planners and the florists and the photographers who are on here as well. It's the same. Just speak to your person and you'll win. Because these other things really don't move the needle, especially when we're fighting the good fight every single day. And the last point here is, and this is coming from someone who used to work at Wedding Wear the Knot, it's not to shade any of those other companies. It's just that the industry has shifted and how people shop is different, right? So we validate businesses by doing a Google search, by looking on Instagram, then going to TikTok and to Pinterest. And maybe they have, this is the way that we shop for things and validate things. And the only way you can really strengthen that is if you're investing in your own brand in order to be seen on those quality touch points. And so I just wanted to make that known. Again, it's no shade being thrown. It's just reality that it's shifted and the model has shifted quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And
Yeah.
Priyanka also posted the question on in the chat about what challenges do you face in maintaining a consistent social media presence. So feel free to jump in and share your inputs because
Yeah.
Persephone and her team are doing absolutely tremendous work and helped us a lot to address a lot of those challenges that are are proposed as an option. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something to check out.
Totally. Okay, so not liking social media is so often I hear this and people will always start the conversation with like, no offense, but I really hate Instagram. I'm like, I am not Mark Zuckerberg. I don't care. It doesn't offend me. I get it. We're all limited in time. So how can we be that resource and that extension of your team, right? And actually, it's perfect timing for this as well. I wanted to give to all of you a special offer. So pull out your phones, even though I can't see your faces. This is a QR code. It's a $1,200 value. We would love to offer anyone who's been on this webinar a marketing audit. So we'll actually go through all the channels and do a deep download. It takes a couple of weeks. It's not a quick turnaround, but then you'll be able to really quickly and have a good digest as to what's going on, what's working, what's not working. And then we can kind of go from there. But I wanted to give all of you something for all of the time that you've spent with us today. So yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
And do you think we can go back to that slide
Yes,
for
of
just a
course,
few
of
more?
course. Absolutely. I'll hold it. I'll hold it. And very
All right.
open to other questions, other questions that are coming up, because I think it's such a complicated space. It's constantly evolving and changing, and it's not a set it and forget it ever. And I think that also throws people for a whirl as well. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
And Persephone, as we're approaching the end of the hour,
Yes.
maybe like one of yeah, it was basically a closing question. What can be one piece of advice that you can give to someone starting out on their social media marketing today?
Go to your Google Analytics,
Okay.
make sure that you understand it, and look at the where the referral traffic is coming from, and then invest in one of two places. Where you're the strongest, continue to spend time being consistent there, and then where are you the weakest, and start spending time there.
Cool.
That's my
Super. Yeah,
that's my
that's
take.
great. And
Yeah.
as a tradition, we're doing a very quick blitz in the end of the
Oh,
webinar
let's do
calls.
it. I love it.
5 simple questions.
Okay.
What would you prefer, coffee or tea?
Tea all day long. Matcha specifically.
Okay, okay. You're always welcome in the UK. You'll find a
Good.
lot of those options here.
So much matcha there. Yes.
What is one social media platform you can't live without?
TikTok.
Okay.
Yep.
What's your favorite book and podcast?
That is hard because I pretty much only listen to podcasts. I've learned a lot from Call Her Daddy. It's a controversial podcast, but I've learned a lot from how her interview style has changed and how she's adapted her entire media conglomerate. So I would say that one. I know
Yeah,
Tori,
nice.
she loves that one too. Yeah.
Okay. If you can have a dinner with anyone in this world, who would it be?
Gary Vaynerchuk. He
Okay.
owns VaynerMedia. I actually listened to his podcast 12, 12 years ago and applied his knowledge on social media. And that's how I started Bridal Vogue. And that's how I was able to have it grow. And I feel very strongly that the Media Socialites is the female version of VaynerMedia.
This is amazing. What's your
Yep.
dream vacation destination?
Dream vacation destination, I would say right now is Morocco.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Yeah. The tile and the texture and the food.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Persephone, it's
Oh,
been a pleasure. It was such a great
um,
opportunity to connect with you. For
I love
everyone on the line, we're running those webinars on a monthly basis. Next month, we're gonna speak with Samantha Reese from It's Giving Bridal. So she's
that.
a bridal stylist herself,
Mhm.
and she's actually a bride in 2024. So she's
That's
gonna
all.
provide the perspective of the bride around different trends or what she's looking, being both in the industry and now as a client. So
Mhm.
we were looking forward to welcome everyone next month. And
Yeah.
Persephone, again, thank you so much for being with us today. And for everyone on the line right now, make sure you take the screenshot because a $1,200 value, it's not a joke. And
Uh,
I can guarantee the results you're gonna get will be impeccable because that's what we're enjoying at Maru and benefiting like every month.
thank you.
Thanks again, Persephone.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all. It was so lovely to connect.